It's such a blessing to be here. I was listening to his testimony, and I just love that so much. I got married last year, and now I'm expecting a baby on our anniversary. But I want to share with you, as we go into today's word, a personal testimony I experienced. When I found out I was pregnant, about a couple days after, we discovered that there could be some complications in the pregnancy. And the first doctor we meet, and we do some checkups and all of that. And the doctor recommends literally termination. But here's the interesting thing, because as we minister, one of the things in my walk with God has always been connected to the supernatural. So you're going to get a little bit of it when I preach. But the interesting thing is, 2 days prior to finding out I was pregnant, I had an encounter with an angel. And in his presence, that's when I realized I'm pregnant. And I was in my closet. I don't know why he chose my closet, but that's where he chose to show up. I said, well, God, while you're at it, could you revamp my closet? Right? So I run downstairs and I tell my husband, and I'm like, I think I'm pregnant. And I tell him what just happened. So we get a pregnancy test 2 days later, and it's positive. But then afterwards, a challenge shows up. And I said, God would not go through all this trouble to get me a word if this is the narrative I have to listen to. I said, nah, we're going to keep this baby and get a different doctor. And so we did. But there was a moment where I was going through excruciating amount of pain. Excruciating. My new doctor says, look, you're going to be fine. This just needs to pass. It's going to probably take, I think it was about 5 weeks she said it would take. And when it started, I was on vacation. And I was supposed to preach in LA that Sunday. So we're supposed to come back from Maui to LA to preach, and I am in excruciating pain. I couldn't sleep, couldn't do anything. I'm literally crying all the time. And I was like, Lord, literally, I wanted to call it off. I wanted to call my pastor and say, I don't think I got it in me. But I said, let me first ask the Lord. And so I was praying and I said, God, I don't think I have this in me, but I need your permission to step back. And then the Lord encounters me in a dream, and there are many things he shows me. But one of the key things, he said, I am with you. I am the God that walks with you in the mountain, and I'm the God that walks with you in the valley. Even when you're going through what seems like a hard time, I am with you. And he tells me, you're going to preach on Sunday. And so literally, my husband is trying his best to just see how we can relieve this pain. But in pain, I was studying. In pain, I was praying. But then here's the interesting thing that happened. Sunday morning shows up. And I'm like, God, you're gonna show up. I wake up that morning. I realize the pain subsided. This is only a few days. The doctor told me a couple weeks. I get up, I get ready, because now that Saturday night, all of a sudden I could sleep. And Sunday morning, I'm good to go. The moment I get into the house of the Lord, all the pain went away. And here is what I realized in God. That the healing I was looking for was in my obedience to the call. You see, you have to realize that obedience is a pathway for supernatural realities. That your obedience to God is literally a pathway for supernatural possibilities. It wasn't that God healed me as a favor, but the healing was trapped in my obedience. You see, what I love about today and just conference in general is that when you come to VuCon, your coming here is the evidence of your hunger. I was having a conversation with Dawn, Pastor Dawn, prior to today, and when it was a conversation on Instagram, and we were talking about, she asked me, what are you looking forward to? What are you excited about when it comes to conference? And I said, hunger. Because when people are hungry, their eyes open, their ears open. You see, sometimes you're wondering, God, I need a word from you. God, I need to hear from you. And God is like, if you will be hungry, I will feed you. And in our lives, we get so distracted by the things that we're pursuing. But Jesus said something that I loved in the wilderness. You see, when he was in a state of natural hunger, the enemy thought he could deceive him. And so he tempted him and said, you know what, if you are the Son of God, turn these stones into bread. And Jesus looks at him and he's thinking like, you think my natural hunger supersedes my spiritual hunger. So he responds to him and says, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of God. Because when you realize that God, your word is life to me. Without your word, I can't go forward. When you are hungry for the word of God, he feeds you. And last night, I couldn't sleep. I got in literally really late. But I was just so captivated by the presence of God and what he's gonna do in this place. And I kept seeing God filling you up. And I kept seeing God giving you fresh words over your life. Because the word of God reveals you. And so I got excited. I sat with the Lord and I'm like, God, what do you have for your people? And so I want to tell you something, not just for today, but the entire conference. Be expectant. Don't allow the distractions of your life cause you to lose focus of these moments.